Bud Light suffers staggering 17% sales plunge amid Dylan Mulvaney controversy. Bud Light has suffered a staggering sales hit following the beer brand's controversial marketing tie-up with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney, with the latest data showing an alarming 17% drop. According to an industry research firm, the latest sales data from Nielsen and Bump Williams Consulting shows that Bud Light sales fell 17% in dollars, while volume dropped a whopping 21% in the week ended April 15. That's sharply ahead of the 6% drop in sales dollars and 11% drop in volume that Bud Light had suffered during the week ended April 8. The 7 days that immediately followed the April 1 launch of the controversial Mulvaney campaign on social media. These numbers are staggering. According to an April 23 report from Insights Express, a beer-focused newsletter. Right now this is an extremely difficult scenario for Anheuser-Busch, the Bud Light brand, and for AB distributors. The Mulvaney campaign has unleashed a torrent of negative publicity for Anheuser-Busch, which announced Friday and over the weekend that the marketing executives responsible for tapping Mulvaney, Alyssa Heinerschiet and Daniel Blake, are taking leaves of absence. Meanwhile, Bud Light's competitors are cashing in on the mess. Bud Light lost 6.7% of market share last week, while Coors Light and Miller Lite are up 18%, according to the newsletter. A week earlier, Coors Light's market share was up 10.6% over the same period, and Miller Lite up 11.5%. Coors Light and Miller Lite were once again big beneficiaries, according to Insights Express. Anheuser-Busch distributors are meeting with the company in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. The distributors, some of which have canceled marketing events featuring the iconic Budweiser Clydesdale horses, are looking for a much more pointed and well-developed plan on how Anheuser-Busch might stem the onslaught of negative attention and sales trends. According to Insights Express, former Anheuser-Busch exec says firm is wrong to think Dylan Mulvaney controversy will go away by ignoring it, because conservative customers won't just forget the fiasco. A former Anheuser-Busch AB executive says the firm is wrong to think that the controversy surrounding Dylan Mulvaney's paid partnership with Bud Light will go away because conservative customers won't forget the fiasco. Anson Frericks claimed that counting on people to forget about the incident which sparked widespread fury on April 1st is the wrong bet to make. He appeared on Fox and Friends Weekend on Fox News Sunday to discuss reports that Bud Light's marketing vice president Alyssa Heinerschiet has taken a leave of absence following the incident. She is being replaced by Budweiser Global Marketing Vice President Todd Allen, according to Adage. It comes after worldwide calls for a boycott of Bud Light, after transgender influencer Mulvaney promoted Americans' best-selling beers to her 11 million followers on social media in a series of partnered posts. Frericks, who worked for AB for over a decade, believes the traditionally apolitical brand became embroiled in controversy when investors began pushing them to be accountable to all these so-called stakeholders, political organizations, activist organizations. That's the bet they're making. I think that's the wrong bet to make. And I think now is the time to go back, and for companies like Anheuser-Busch to say that, hey, moving forward for brands like Bud Light, we're not going to be political, he told co-host Will Kane. We're not going to get involved in the environmental social governance movement, because that's not what the customer wants. He added, there's a more fundamental problem that's going on right now, where Anheuser-Busch has to choose who it's going to be accountable to. Will it be its shareholders, or its so-called stakeholders? Let me explain. Historically, Anheuser-Busch has been accountable to its shareholders, which are people like firefighters, doctors, lawyers that invested in companies like Anheuser-Busch via 401(k)s or their pension plans. Over the last couple of years, there's been organizations like BlackRock, State Street and Vanguard that have pushed this new model of stakeholder capitalism, asking companies like Anheuser-Busch to be accountable to all these so-called stakeholders, political organizations, activist organizations. And they do that by implementing ESG or environmental social governance policies in corporations that ask them to get involved in these controversial issues. But unfortunately, when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being accountable to no one. And Frericks urged the company to think about what their loyal consumers historically want. He said, what the customer wants with Bud Light is they want to have things that bring us together. They want humor. They want the dilly-dilly guys. They want football. They want the things that bind us together as co-equal citizens here, not necessarily having Bud Light get involved in political controversies that tear us apart. Heck, this is one of the most apolitical brands out there. shared by Democrats and Republicans alike. Mulvaney's controversial posts showed the influencer sitting in a bathtub and swigging from custom Bud Light cans sporting her face. It sparked widespread fury, with several celebrities swearing off the beer in protest. The partnership drew intense backlash from some quarters, with musician Kid Rock posting a video of himself shooting at cases of Bud Light, and country singers John Rich and Travis Tritt dropping ties with the brand. But media personalities like Joe Rogan and Howard Stern defended Bud Light's decision. Aside from an initial terse statement, Bud Light's parent company Anheuser-Busch remained silent for 2 weeks after the controversy emerged on April 1st, with the brand's social media accounts falling dormant, as conservatives howled over the Mulvaney partnership. As the polarization spilled into barrooms, with patrons trading insults and recriminations over each other's beer choices, a handful of bar owners said they would stop selling Bud Light, at least temporarily, simply to prevent fights. AB CEO Brendan Whitworth finally broke the company's silence on April 14th in a public statement cryptically titled "Our Responsibility to America." "We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people. We are in the business of bringing people together over a beer," said Whitworth in the statement, which did not directly address the Mulvaney partnership. The posts, which were never shared by Bud Light or its parent company Anheuser-Busch's AB social media profiles, sparked widespread fury, with several celebrities swearing off the beer in protest. Behind the scenes at AB, no one at a senior level was aware of the partnership that has now dominated headlines for weeks, and the decision to include Mulvaney in the campaign was taken by a low-level marketing staffer, 2 sources close to the situation told the Daily Wire. That claim came despite the attention on Bud Light's VP of Marketing, Heiner Sheed, for her remarks in an interview days before the Mulvaney partnership, saying she wanted to trade the brand's fratty reputation for inclusivity. But according to an insider cited by the Daily Wire, the partnership was undertaken by some low-level marketing staffer who helps manage the hundreds of influencer engagements they do. "It was a mistake," the person added. Amid the backlash, AB's market capitalization has dropped nearly $6 billion in the past 10 days, a decline of nearly 5%, and the company continues to remain silent, save for a short statement confirming the partnership. The disastrous marketing campaign came just days after Bud Light's vice president said she wanted to trade the brand's fratty reputation for inclusivity. Heiner Sheed spoke on a business podcast on March 30th to claim that the AB beer had been in decline for a really long time, despite it being America's #1 brew, with a market share of more than 13%. The Harvard graduate declared it essential to attract more female and younger drinkers, because otherwise there will be no future for Bud Light. Although Heiner Sheed says the Bud Light brand is on the wane, it remains the flagship beer of AB. Heiner Sheed previously worked in AB marketing, before moving to take the helm as Bud Light's vice president in July last year. Her LinkedIn profile proudly states that she is the first female to lead the largest beer brand in the industry. She told the Make Yourself at Home podcast that she was convinced Bud Light must incorporate inclusivity. "It means shifting the tone. It means having a campaign that's truly inclusive and feels lighter and brighter and different, and appeals to women and to men." Mulvaney's paid partnership with Nike promoting the brand's sports bra and leggings also caused widespread controversy. She posed in a series of photos and videos in the workout gear, and furious feminists slammed the decision by Nike to give the coveted sponsorships for a prominent women's line to a transgender woman.